episode 3 of Cohort 21 Alumni Spotlight. For those of you who haven't seen the vlog before, Cohort 21 is a year-long professional learning experience for educators in the CIS Ontario. And it is a fabulous group of educators looking to transform the future of learning and make things, learning, schools, all kinds of educationally related topics better for students and staff. Today we are working with Emma Stewart out of Montcrest School in Toronto, Ontario, and she is from season 8, where she was exploring for her action plan, her year-long teacher as researcher action plan of wellness and mind-brain education research. Our conversation goes a little bit this way, a little bit that way. We nerd out on two books, NeuroTeach and Powerful Teaching. And so, if you're excited about mind-brain education research and wellness, then stay tuned. And here, without further ado, is Emma Stewart. And so to kick off the vlog, I've asked Emma, how is it going? What are you doing right now? And so she's just going to run us through quickly the things that she is currently working on, and then we'll jump into the action plan.
I am at Montcrest School in Toronto. This year, I am teaching all of the grade 6 core French. And I also have grade 7 and 8 advisor. And so that's a new program that started last year, where I got to build the grade 7 curriculum and then have that content ready for this year's teachers. And this year I'm building the grade 8 content, which is like super, super cool and so overwhelming at the same time.
What I love about Emma Stewart highlighting here is this idea of these really engaged educators wanting to be involved in lots of different things and taking on a lot and essentially overwhelming ourselves in trying to better the experience for students and staff in our schools. We ask every Spotlight participant, how did you get into Cohort? Why did you get into Cohort? Let's listen in on what Emma had to say.
Jen Barros, my teaching colleague, my work partner who holds me up, came away from it super, super excited. And watching your colleague shift what they're doing on the fly, and being with a person who is super organized, and Jen's thinking about a million things at the same time. And she played and she dabbled and she gave herself permission for things to work and not work. And watching her do that, how could I not try and experience that? And it's like drinking the Kool-Aid. You just, how can you not? You can't be a teacher and not want to do this. This is good work. We have a big cohort following here, which is really nice, because you've got a group of people that are sort of talking the same language, that have felt that inspiration to grow in a measurable and meaningful manner. And so I think that when you have a staff that have so many cohorters, is that a term?
Yeah,
it is now.
Yeah,
it is now.
You made it. You made it.
Yeah. That you've got this permission to grow and be messy with this beautiful support network behind you. And the support network just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Folks, cohorters, coined by Emma Stewart, as people who are, come through the program, are inspired to make changes in their own personal practice and drive forward with this idea of teacher as researcher, teacher as designer. And so it's really important for us to consider from seasons past, where are you now? And so how has your action plan evolved? How has it, changed over time? And Emma's has certainly evolved.
Oh, it has. It's grown toes and lost fur. It got gnarly. So the starting part was trying to carve out the idea of what would a wellness position, it's funny, right? Because you were talking about wellness, not modeling what I'm after. But what would a wellness position look like at school? What would it entail? And how would I get there? And so that right off the get-go, like Justin and Garth were like, that's really big. You need to funnel this down. And so I remember one of the placemat activities where we had to like draw things, and my like judgmental self was really getting sticky around like, I'm going to draw things, people are going to see it, and it's going to be horrendous. And it was really nice. I ended up drawing the human heart and the lungs, and within that, all of the pieces, the branches where I had to go to, and that they had to communicate to each other. And so if the heart of the school is like the student experience and their well-being, then what's fueling that, what's giving it oxygen, that's a well, healthy teaching staff. And so what does that look like? And then within that, I started to think like, okay, well, we need a baseline. We can't decide what job needs to be in place until we know where we're at, so that can then fuel next steps. So then I started becoming a research imposter, because I don't do numbers, I do words. And so then I was totally into Twitter and all the people that gather research and how do you analyze well-being. And so I pushed out a research study. I got a baseline of student experience, I got a baseline of teacher experience, and then I started working with some other Canadian educators, Dr. David Tranter, who's out of Lakehead, who wrote one of the authors of The Third Path, and worked along with him and some of his research undergrad students to, well, what does this mean? I have this data, what do I do with it now? And so where I started with what might some specific role look like at Montcrest, it evolved to, well, how do we measure where we're at, and what do those next steps look like in terms of student well-being, staff well-being? Can it trickle up to administrators, board members? Can it trickle out to community members? And so I'm still very much playing in those waters, and getting the opportunity to design this advisor program is like boots on the ground, bringing wellness. And my most recent learning piece is the mind-brain education. And so I'm now seeing that those two speak so beautifully to each other. And so now my wonderment is, what does it look like if every educator is teaching through the lens of knowing how the brain learns? I think that I would argue that only has a positive impact on well-being, because you are helping to show students that those tricky moments in school, or those feelings of I can't, it's okay. That mild discomfort is learning, and we've got you, and it's going to change. And so now how do I help you?
I think we're done. That's it. You've nailed it.
This is more Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're good.
No. Yeah, and I love that piece. I love that piece about the MBE research, right? The mind-brain education research.
Isn't it the best?
So good. And so can we geek out just a little bit?
Oh, please.
Have you read NeuroTeach?
Yes, I had a meeting with one of the authors last week.
What?
Yes, because of Twitter. Thank you, Twitter. Thank you, Cohort. I had signed up for their academy. People sign up for their academies. Their winter webinar series is coming out soon, and they're doing the intersection of mind, brain, and education, and diversity and equity work. Which
no way.
Yep.
Yeah. I didn't know that they had academies. Thank you.
Really good. They have a elementary one and a high school one, and it was phenomenal.
That is season 8, right? I don't know if it actually came from you or not, but then Garth reviewed it and I read it. I was like, yep, Amazon order, pop to
Yes.
my door, right?
So
Yeah.
now have you read Powerful Teaching?
Oh my gosh, I read it this summer.
Isn't it so amazing?
Yes. So what's interesting is before I took this year, I was on the PD working group for at Lakefield College, and we bought a copy for every teacher.
It's this, I feel like to me, like neuro teach is like the umbrella. It's like the science of all the thing. And then, and Powerful Teaching is the now go do it.
Yeah.
And it's four things. It's not one of those teaching books where you're reading it going, yeah, but I can't do this in my classroom. Like, oh, that's great. They've got more time. This is, you read a chapter, and you're like, oh, I can do that tomorrow. I can totally do that tomorrow. And it's not like, it's not do more. It's do exactly what you're doing with a teeny tiny shift in your language. And it's like,
there you have it, folks. Neuro teaches the why. Powerful Teaching is the how. It's all about just making small changes, small, sustainable, durable changes in our teaching that will make learning better for our students and help to engage our students in powerful learning. And so Emma is going to talk about a little bit about Ian Keller, co-author of NeuroTeach, his ideas around assessments. And he uses a great analogy around bats and sushi.
So he's like, it should be sushi and bats. It should be small, bite-sized pieces. And you should be just like pinging like little radar pings of low stakes, no stakes assessment. And then once you get that in place, and it's like, oh, that's no big deal. Like, okay, I got 1 out of 5.
Yeah.
That's not defeatist. It's that I got 1 out of 5 because I have one piece of information, one brain link is so solid in my brain. Amazing. Now I'm ready to go work on the other 4. And that's okay.
And knowing which 4 you're working on.
Yeah.
Right? Like intrinsically knowing that, not like, oh, my teacher says I got to do this. My teacher says I got to do this, right?
That's not metacognition. Yeah.
I cannot be happier that we're connecting on those 2 books.
Playing on a Monday morning.
Yeah. Right? It's Monday morning, right? I
raining.
feel like my energy level just went like zipping through the roof. No, it's not easy to build something new when you're teaching full time. And so Emma is currently building. She's going to talk to us a little bit about that process and what it looks like and the joy that it brings her to actually build something that is meaningful, relevant to staff and student wellness.
I love it. I didn't think I would enjoy building content as much as I do. I mean, I have to stop spending hours looking for like the right Bitmoji or the right like image. I have to, that's a work in progress, but building pieces. And this year, it's not just me teaching it. So other homeroom teachers are being asked to teach it. So I have to be really cognizant when I'm building the content that we're using basically a shared Google slide. I'm kind of building a teacher guide in the speaker notes so that the teachers know this is my talking point. These are my questions. This is the why. Here's the link to post in Google Classroom. Like it's fun.
Imagine that people are pretty tired of the word pivot. And so let's explore the idea of adaptability, adapting. And with Cohort 21 and your action plans, you need to be able to adapt to different situations that arise, and never before have people adapted more. And never before has been so amazing to see all of the good that educators have been able to do on a moment's notice. Emma had to pivot or adapt her action plan as well, and here's how.
I couldn't revisit my data collection during COVID because I wasn't measuring apples and apples. So we hit pause on that. But what we brought out was were consistent Wellness Wednesday surveys for the students, and then wellness sessions with our social worker for the staff. And it was sort of we'd send out a basically like a Google form of staff members, are you interested? Who's interested? What time works? And so that we could really tailor things to, people being at home and being with their families all the time. And we started a series called Fireside Chats. And so that was live sessions with our social worker for the parent community, where there would be a specific topic, and then we could offer supports, and staff that were available could join in and share resources that they know about and they use. And so it's slowly sort of like closing the gap, and that's a thing that I think is really important. Like, the more that we can work together as a full community, we do a better job of servicing the whole child. So it's slow work, and I get it now, because I'm like a quick hurry up, like, let's get this done. I get the slowness now. I mean, there's still a little bit of like the quick hurry up, but I understand that what we're really asking for is a cultural shift, and that has to take time, because if you speed it up, you're going to lose probably some very key people along the way. But if you do it slowly with intention, I think you're going to be able to bring more people along with you, for you, to do a better job.
Go fast. That principle does not respect the ideals of instructional coaching, in that we're not meeting people where they're at. In fact, it goes against learning. You want to meet learners where they're at and push them into a zone of proximal discomfort, not shove them over a cliff into a state of anxiety and panic. And so I suffer from the same affliction. Sometimes I want to go fast, and it's important that I rein myself in, and that we help each other move intentionally and meaningfully forward. And that might be a little more slow for some and a little too fast for others. And so just meeting people where they're at is really important. Next, we're sort of exploring the Eisenhower matrix of, urgent versus important. And Emma is working with some very cool things.
We are working with the Common Ground Collaborative, and just as season 10 had tweeted out their picture of the urgent and important, we had been working within that matrix as well in the CGC, and then we overlaid it, same sort of matrix but different wording of important and urgent. So we overlaid that with effort. How much effort does it take, and what's its impact? And so ideally you would hope that the things that are living in these bottom quadrants are repeated, right? You should see some sameness, but when you are getting sticky with like the placement of like, well, this is really important, and I would argue that it's urgent, when you look at, then when you start thinking about the impact, then you're like, oh, it's coming up. And so it was that gentle, it was just that extra piece to like help you nudge, like what lives in what quadrant. And when we started thinking about that, then it was like, okay, here, it's top right for sure.
I love that, because I think, when we're taking that inventory and we're dropping them in the quadrants, you need that litmus test, right? You need that, oh, well, actually, I love the effort versus impact. That's going to be a really big piece of this.
Yeah, it just really helped me when I was humming and hawing about where does my sticky go. It was like, nope, here, like duct tape it right into that quadrant. No arguments.
You know that when you duct tape it, you're taking paint off and everything, right?
It's permanent.
It's there.
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah. Amazing.
Hindsight is 2020, and with every Cohort 21 spotlight, we ask, what do you wish you knew? What did you learn? And what advice might you have for people who are in season 10 right now? That's you, season 10, shout out. And what other advice might you have for people who are coming into season 11? And will we get to season 20? Who knows?
I started using Twitter as kind of like a Twitter stalker. So I was just absorbing content. I was just sort of like looking for people that felt like samey to me. And then I started following, and then I started asking people whose posts I really enjoyed, well, who else should I follow? And then, so that started to grow. And then I think maybe like 2 years before season 8, I started asking questions. Like, somebody out there has this answer to this tech thing that I need, or this whatever it is. And that felt really like empowering, that like these people that I don't even know are willing to take their time to answer my question. And then I just started sharing stuff, like all kinds of things, like, this is what worked in my classroom today, and look how pretty the Riverdale Park looks today, you know, that kind of stuff. And it exploded. And it exploded so much that, you know, when I got a message from Glenn Whitman, from the author of NeuroTeach, can we connect? I was like, why me? I was like, well, it's what you're tweeting. Like, it's really interesting, and our team wants to make a connection with you. Okay. So my tips for people are to don't question yourself the way I spend so much time doing. Throw it out there. And if you get an answer, great. And if you don't, okay. Somebody probably read it. They just forgot to answer you. That's what I tell myself. They read it. They're busy. And what I really love about it, like, or to use it the most, is just shout outs to other people. Because I find that sometimes that little, Twitter's the only social media platform that I have notifications on for my phone, because I have never encountered something negative or toxic. And so it's just that like little hit of oxytocin in the day. And so you'll often see like Jen Barros and I just are like jazz handing each other all over the place for things that we've come across. I would just throw yourself into it and join the Twitter chats. Like, the Twitter chats are really interesting ways to get bombarded at your own pace with who's doing what, who are they following, what's inspiring them. It's just this, it makes the world not feel so super, super big.
So you have lots of different options with Twitter chats. And so what I really want to bring to the forefront is that time is a very tricky thing. We're super busy, especially with this pandemic. And so it's really important for you to take time for you to take care of your wellness so that you can take care of your students' wellness. The nice thing with Twitter chats is that you can always come back to them after. And there's value in that. You don't have to engage right away. And they're permanent. They're there full time. And you can engage in previous Twitter chats, and all of that is valuable when you have time to do so.
A whole lot of screens closed. I'm going to try really, really hard until the panic of like sets in. Lots of outside. Lots and lots of outside. Lots and lots of hugs. I think, yeah, that fuels my soul.
Connection,
yeah,
right?
Connection, right?
Yeah.
It comes back to relationships.
That is such a nice idea to end on. Relationships, connection. Isn't that what education is really about? Isn't that what the future of education is really about? This idea of learning, unlearning, and relearning, as Alvin Toffler helps us to understand. Thank you, Emma Stewart, for taking time on a Monday morning to meet with me and share your thoughts and your expertise around French language learning, wellness, mind-brain education research. We're so lucky to have you in the Cohort Network and can't wait to see how your action plan continues to evolve and the iterations that you follow. If you are interested in being a Cohort 21 Spotlight participant, reach out to Garth, Justin, or me, Derek Doucette, and I would love to have a conversation with you and see where you're at. To everybody who's watching, thanks so much. Have a great day.